Hi, I'm Ted Rogers, and this is History by the Plate. By virtue of our jobs, my wife and I are lucky enough to spend a significant amount of our time overseas, often in Europe. Now, one of the things we've noted of our travels in Europe is that after being there for a week or two, we each really feel better. Our energy levels are up. Digestive problems are nil. We just feel much better. Now, a large part of that has to do with a different tack that the countries of Europe have taken with food. Most have banned GMO foods, as well as ultra-hybridized food. The focus is on the quality of the food as opposed to the quantity of the food. Now, today in our country, we are facing a significant problem. We are raising foods now that are actually capable of killing us and preparing them using methods that rob us of their key nutrients. Consider wheat. Bread is the staff of life, right? Well, it used to be. Ancient diets often consisted of little more than milk, bread, and maybe, if one was lucky, meat. Bread, though, was very different. The grains used to make it were high in protein and fiber, making them an ideal combination for full nutrition. Today, though, that is not the case. Consider this. Just over a decade ago, only 1 in 2,500 people in this country had celiac disease, which is a form of gluten intolerance. Today, that number is 1 in 133. Now, people haven't changed. Our wheat has. In my childhood, I remember seeing fields of wheat, all of it about 4 feet tall. Today's wheat is 2 feet tall or less. And what happened? In the 1960s, agribusiness began to look at how to improve wheat yields. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Makes sense. The first big problem was that wheat was often too tall, a problem exacerbated by high nitrogen fertilizers. This made it prone to lodging or tipping over, which made it unharvestable. The botanists in various agribusiness companies began to hybridize the wheat with grasses. This led to a shorter plant. And as the plant put less energy into growing up, it had more energy to put into grain production. Now that's great, right? Well, yeah, it is. If increased quantity is all that one is after, absolutely. The problem was, though, the botanists were just looking at the plant. They weren't dietitians. They did not check for digestibility in the new hybrids. Happy, though, with the increase in production, agribusiness continued a program of super hybridization, often with foreign grasses or mutated grasses. Again, with great success as to yields, but again, with no research given to digestibility. With the hybridization and ultra-hybridization of these new wheat-like plants, the type of gluten in what is referred to as wheat had changed radically. Then, BASF, the chemical company, came out with its own brand of wheat. They made a point to note that it was not a GMO product, and technically, they were right. It may, however, though, be much worse. You see, BASF produces a weed killer similar to Roundup. Their goal was to make a wheat-like plant that was resistant to their weed killer so that farmers could just blanket spray their crops, kill the weeds, and leave the wheat-like plant. To do so, they used a process called chemical mutagenesis. They subject the seeds of the already ultra-hybridized wheat to a toxic chemical called sodium azide, as well as gamma and X radiation, to form a genetically mutated seed. This goes by the brand name of Clearfield wheat, and it is now planted in over 1 million acres across the United States. Again, though, no studies were done as to the digestibility of the product or as to the allergic reactions and celiac reactions to the product. Now, simultaneously, commercial bakeries in the United States were trying to increase their yields. Makes sense. They're trying to be efficient. They're trying to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, the old method, though, of allowing bread to rise over time in a sourdough or semi-sourdough method broke down the proteins in the wheat, making it more digestible. The fast-rising yeast used in commercial bakeries today, though they increase the bulk of the bread and decrease the time needed for it to rise, they do nothing to break down the proteins. Thus, our bread, while fluffier and larger, contains much less usable proteins and more hybridized glutens that enhance allergic reactions and celiac disease. Throughout the process, the FDA, the regulatory body that was supposed to look after the consumer, did nothing to investigate the digestibility issues resultant from hybridization or new preparation methods. So there you have it. That's how we got into the mess we're in right now. Now, fortunately, you can buy heirloom wheat flour and heirloom wheat seeds if you want to grow your own. A quick internet search will help you on that. And one can make a very tasty and nutritious sourdough bread at home. Other grains, like spelt, too, are very useful, healthy, and tasty. My wife makes incredible spelt pancakes, and when we have Mexican food where we're using flour tortillas, we use spelt flour tortillas, and they're so tasty. The lesson, though, is that we have to take our foodstuffs seriously. Let's vote then with our pocketbooks and buy real, not ultra-hybridized or manufactured ingredients. Let's take the time to make good, nutritious foods for ourselves. And for God's sake, let's not gut the agencies that are supposed to be doing basic research on issues like digestibility and systemic allergic reactions caused by foodstuffs. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it has been informative. And I hope that it helps you to eat well and eat healthfully. This is Ted Rogers on History by the Plate. For more fun history facts and for some really good, fun recipes, please go to our website, www.historybytheplate.com. Thanks.